So the issue, for some taxpayers comes up, particularly we've seen it surrounding the cannabis industry, is a reluctance on the payor to provide taxpayer identification numbers. So the factual situation is that you would have a legitimate, two sides to this, both a legitimate cannabis-related company or individual and a legitimate provider of goods or services. This could either be manufacturing products, or which are legal, or services. So we're seeing them both in the products and then also in, for example, the professional services like attorneys, accountants, whoever might be providing these services, and they are the ones that are receiving the cash payments. And for whatever reason, whether educating them is not sufficient, the payor of the cash is either unwilling or unable to provide their taxpayer identification number. And it's given a lot of clients significant pause, because although it might be nice to tell them to simply not do business with those individuals if they're failing to provide the taxpayer identification number, it does not provide an economic reality that they do in fact need to sell their goods and services in order to stay in business themselves. So the question comes up is what to do in those situations. And the Form 8300 itself has various requirements as when it needs to be filed. And there are some minor exceptions of when the missing taxpayer identification number can nevertheless relieve the recipient of cash of the requirement. They still have a requirement to file the 8300, but now they are filing an incomplete 8300 form, which, at least in the eyes of the IRS, is the same as failing to file, period. But if certain steps are taken, they can avoid any types of penalties. And on a simple level, one of the ones is the requirements is kind of threefold. They need to make an initial solicitation in which they request either orally, telephone, or by paper certain information from the payor. That initial solicitation generally must be made at the time the relationship or the account is created. Then there's two follow-ups. Annual solicitations. The first annual solicitation goes out, and again, the solicitation is requesting the identification information to file a complete 8300 form from the payor. The first annual solicitation goes out on December 31st of the year in which the relationship began, unless the relationship began in December of that year, in which case that solicitation goes out on January 31st. And then there's a requirement to send out a second follow-up one. But all of this is kind of the answer to the question that some of our clients have been asking, is what do I do if I want to remain in business, receive the cash payments, but the person giving me the cash is unable or unwilling to give me the information to comply with 8300 filing requirements.